Yeah, we're live.
Okay. So I'm supposed to start talking now.
Yes.
Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you for having me. I missed all of you, and it's so nice to see your faces again. Well, I don't have a proper presentation or anything. It has been a busy day. I had a long meeting today, so I could not make time to make a presentation. But yeah, since I'm talking about myself, I think you should come. And if you have any questions, just ask me. And this is going to be like very, very unstructured because I don't know. But yeah, I guess we'll just freestyle and roll with it and then see how it goes. So yeah, like most people know, I left Nigeria in by the end of July last year, 2019, and I moved to Germany for a fellowship program called Africa Compt. So Africa Compt is a fellowship program for young professionals from Africa, and it is organized by German companies, SAP, Volkswagen, Bosch, Merck, Boehringer Ingelheim, and many other companies like that. So across many sectors, manufacturing, ICT, pharmacy, healthcare, and all of that. Yeah. So, and the program started, okay, the journey started like around, I made my application around very early in January 2019, and then around March, I got like an invitation to Kenya for the assessment center, and then at the assessment center, I met other people as well who also got invited for the program, and then yeah, like 100 people were interviewed at the assessment center, and then eventually 47 people got selected. So from I think 8 or 9 countries: Nigeria, Kenya, Malawi, Uganda, Zimbabwe, where else? Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, and so on. So, but officially the journey started 1st of August last year. And then, so I went to Bonn in Germany, and I lived there for 3 months. And what I was doing basically for the first 3 months, August to end of October, was essentially learning the language. So I enrolled in a language institute, Goethe Institute, to learn the language German, and then sometime also during the 3 months period, I had the opportunity to visit the company I will be doing the fellowship at, SAP. So I came to the headquarters in Waldorf with my colleagues who will also be staying at the company. So we had like a day's visit to visit the company and then meet our future team. So I met my future manager, my future team, and yeah, it was a quick 1 day visit. Then also I returned to Bonn and continued my German course. And then also sometime also in the program, I also did some, they call it IMT, International Management Training. So that involves a lot of training around management, basically just how to manage teams, how to manage projects, how to, since it's a multicultural environment, how to like understand different people from different backgrounds and cultures, and how to balance dynamics on teams around just essentially building on interpersonal leadership and management skills for those 3 months. And then the IMT was divided into 3 sections. So I did IMT 1 during the first 3 months while in Bonn. And yeah, those 3 months went by, and then I moved to Waldorf. That is where SAP headquarters is. So Waldorf is the office is very big. It houses like 10,000 employees, and but I didn't stay at the headquarters. I did my fellowship with a team that stays in Rhodes. So St. Leon Rhodes is like, I don't know how much far it is in terms of kilometers, but it's like 15 minutes drive out of Waldorf. So it's also like very big. Houses like around 3,000 to 4,000 people. And my team there was we're working on success factors, SAP success factors. So success factors is an employee experience management software. And what it does is to just integrate different aspects of business. And then, but the focus is on employee experience, basically managing employee data, compensation, documents, uploads, identification, and all of that. So yeah, my team was Employee Central, and I was also attached to the compensations team. So I took up developments with the compensations team, and I started. I started then in November, and then I was with the team for since November actually, and yeah, that was how it started. I got there and there was a lot of people, so much to learn. And also with the size of SAP, obviously there's so much to learn because there are many products, first of all. Then also even within the product, the team is very diverse. It is there are employees from like 4 different locations. Apart from Germany, we have people also in Shanghai, then in San Francisco, and then in Bangalore. So one of the interesting factors was how to organize meetings when you have to organize meetings that involves people participating in all the 4 locations. So there's usually like that trade-off of, okay, who is going to join? Some people will literally have to just step out of the bed to join the meeting, or some people will have to work late to join the meeting. But yeah, that is how it has been managed over the years. And for me, then, so my major responsibility there was also working on customer tickets. So because the product obviously is already existing, and the structure is like there are 2 major releases every year. That's releasing newer versions of the product. So we have a major release around May 05, then there's another one in November. So within this period, there is always like time for developments. Then there's time for also some house cleaning jobs like testing, cleaning up the code, refactoring, and all of that. Then there's also a phase for I mentioned a phase for testing, improving test. Then there is the code cleanup phase. Then there is the development phase, and there is just like a few weeks before the actual deployment, just integration tests, ensuring that everything works properly and all of that. Then it gets released. But before major releases, there is like a patch release every 2 weeks. So patches are released. Let's say if there is like a quick update that needs to go out, and it does not make sense to delay until another 6 months. So it goes out with the patch, and there's opportunity to do this every week. And then while I was there too, I had tickets that required, having to release patches for it, and it wouldn't have to wait until the next release. So the technologies that I worked with then, the product was majorly built on Java and Java, Spring, Hibernate, all those Java frameworks. Yeah. And the database is S4HANA, is SAP's in-memory database. So that is like that's the technology most of SAP applications are built upon. So it's called S4HANA. Then also JavaScript on some parts of the UI, JavaScript, jQuery also on some parts, but majorly the UI was built on SAP UI5. So SAP UI5 is a framework is also based on JavaScript and XML, but it is an in-house developed language for SAP. So, and it is also like, I will liken it to React and Vue to a certain extent. Yeah, apart from the XML file, the XML part. So that I had to learn during that period to also be able to work on some of the UI tickets, because yeah, and the team I worked on, the UI person was going on maternity leave. So I had to be like the main UI person after she went for a maternity leave. And then yeah, so I started and we were working on the product until until when end of February, when the lockdown was enforced. So then work from home started, and yeah, working from home, then also on the side, using one eye to look for a job, because I knew that the program would end by the end of June. Actually, the program officially ends by the end of July, but the fellowship with the company ends by the end of June. So then also, I mentioned earlier that the IMT is divided into three parts. So the second part I was supposed to do sometime in March, like the first week in March. So, and for that I was expected to actually go to Frankfurt to do that, but because of the lockdown, so it was done virtually, and that was quite painful, and it was also actually weird, but still we shall managed, and it was done virtually. So it was essentially a refresher of what was done in the first part, that is personality, also building on how to interact with teams, how to understand different people's personalities, and yeah, it's a lot, Sha, actually, but it was also very interesting. And then also after that was done virtually, then I also continued working with this team and also job hunting by the side. And then eventually the program came to an end by the end of June. And then I was supposed to go to Berlin for the last part of the program, and then there was supposed to be like a study tour, and that is like the highlight of the entire program, because it involves, apart from going to Berlin, then I would also have had the opportunity to visit like other companies participating in the program, just to have like a day at their site and visit them, see what their operations are all about. But those we were not able to do because, again, Corona, and it was eventually done virtually. And till today, I have not gone to Berlin, which is quite weird. But yeah, maybe I'll go before the end of the year. I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. And then the program finished officially by the end of July. And then, yeah, but before then, I had gotten like this opportunity to join a new team. So it wasn't the same team I was with, so it was a different team. And this team, my current team, what it does is the team is called SME Innovations, Small and Medium Enterprises Innovations Team. And what I do is to work with my team. We develop products for small and medium-sized enterprises. So officially, we have like two flagship products for SMEs powered by SAP, and that is called Business by Design and SAP Business One. And it is just like a leaner version of the bigger SAP ERP application. But this one is because most SMEs will not want to commit to buying the bigger application, and then they would rather go for like the cheaper one that also gets the job done. So what my team now does is to look at how to build on this already existing product and see how it can be, what innovation can be done on this current product, and then to just serve our SME customers better. So, and we have like a number of interesting products. A few months ago, I was working with an eye tracking solution. So we're trying to see how eye tracking can be used to improve experience on the products. Yeah, then also there's also a team that was doing something on digital ink. So trying to see how to use like a digital pen to interact with, let's say there's a tabular presentation of results or a dashboard on the screen, then using a digital pen to just to do analysis on the screen, where you can like scribble something on the screen, and then it reads your handwriting, and then makes a request, and then displays results to you. So my team is an innovations team. So sometimes, like innovations team, the ideas might sound crazy, but then we still go ahead and build something with it. And I find that very interesting. So the technologies I work with most times these days a lot of JavaScript, Node.js, TypeScript, yeah, and what else? Yeah, also there is still so much to learn on this new team. A lot of acronyms, a lot of also technologies, and sometimes even just guidelines and standards that has to be kept up with. So yeah, that I'm still learning, but I'm also enjoying having fun. And yeah, during the time too, I moved accommodation twice. That was that was interesting, but I am settled now. So now I live outside of Waldorf, which is quite good. I live in Heidelberg, and I like the fact that it's not so far from work, but it's also close to like other things as well. So because Waldorf is much more smaller, and then within Waldorf is only SAP employees most times, and if you talk to 10 people, then 8 people are SAP employees, but then outside of Waldorf, then it's easier to like see other people as well, and then see have access to a lot of other things. So yeah, that has been it so far.
Okay, on Slack. So Wale has a question.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So his first question, he has a couple of questions actually. The first question says, what is the greatest shift in work environment? What was the greatest shift?
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, the size, it was it was huge. It was so huge, but it was also manageable because apart from it's a big company, but then there are clusters. Then within clusters there are teams. So the team I worked with is a member of like a cluster, and in the cluster there are 3 teams. So, but my team had like 12 team members. So that size was it was something to keep up with that. Then also another shift was also the speed at which something gets turned out. Because in my past experience, it was something like, maybe 2 people just talk about something and you go ahead and build it, and then but here, there has to be meetings, there has to be decisions, there has to be checks to see if it aligns with the product roadmap, or maybe even the bigger company strategy and all of that. So you have to align with the manager to be sure that it's on track. And then your manager also has to align with their manager, and their manager also has to align with their manager. And so it is a bigger shift. Then also another thing that was also different is also control on the product. So at Kota and Kush, you can log into FBN insurance server and do something. But here, I didn't even have access to the servers. And in terms of DevOps, the product is quite big actually, but there was one DevOps guy working for that I knew of when I was with Success Factors, and nobody, if almost nobody even knew the guy. It was until he switched to a development role. And then in his welcome email, then he said something around, okay, now he's starting to consume his own medicine. That was where people knew, oh, so this is the DevOps guy. So sometimes, when you like when you work on an issue and then it is on the QA environment, you have to like wait for maybe 24 hours or more for it to get to the QA environment, and then pray that you are able to test it immediately, and then someone else's change has not broken it. For example, if you worked on maybe, let's say, profile page, but you can't even log in successfully. So how are you going to test profile page when you cannot even log in at the time? So it's one of the suggestions I that I also talked about while on the team, and that plans were put in place to start implement was to have our own QA environment where we only control what gets deployed to the QA environment so that is not really exposed to changes like across the organization. And then it makes it easier as a team to test what was done, and we can just pull changes only when it's needed, and when it's not needed, we just keep what is on the environment, and that environment is more stable and we have more control over it.
There's another question here. It says, what's job hunting like in Germany? So how was it?
Okay, so maybe I should talk about job hunting in a pandemic because yeah, it was stressful, but okay. So let me start from what is good. What's good is the fact that at least I was here. So, and that means one wall down, because it's easier when you are already here than maybe when someone has to when one has to apply remotely. Maybe not the entire application process might not really be an issue, but maybe when it comes to relocating eventually, that might be a challenge. But the fact that I was here, then it meant that one challenge was already down. But sometimes you get responses, sometimes you don't. Like I spoke with a recruiter in January. I already did the first stage of the interview. Then we spoke. The conversation was good, and then, but when she heard that, okay, I will only be available to work like starting in August, she was like, well, we are hiring, but that they needed people to fill the position immediately, but they will snooze the application, and then in July she will touch base again. I was like, okay, like long, I would have gotten something in July. So is not really different from how it was. And so I was applying both externally and also internally, but for internal interviews, it was quite different, because I could say that there was that internal advantage in terms of when you're talking to managers and they know that you are already in this system, that you are already SAP, but also there's the challenge of getting to make that decision, or let me just say the budget challenge to make an external hire, because my profile then, it wasn't like an internal profile, it was a termed arrangement, it was a termed contract. So the decision had to be made like all over again. So most managers did not have that resource. Also considering the pandemic, so they had like a budget cap on how much can be spent to hire a new candidate. So only if they could provide a business justification to hire an external candidate, could they go ahead and make that decision. So for some of the positions that I applied for, I got to that point where they could not proceed with the hiring, because they could not afford an external candidate at the time. So it had to be an internal one, and it would have just been like in form of a rotation. But in my case, it was termed, so it was only the managers that had enough money to hire an external candidate that were able to hire me. So, but eventually I got something. Why are you clapping?
Okay, so we have lots of questions here. The next question, this is from she says, how are working in person prepare you for your work today, for the things you do in your current position?
So it did prepare me a lot. It prepared me a lot. The culture at Kota and Kush, which I had imbibed to a good extent helped me. I remember when I got to my former team, I was just having like a casual chat with my my other colleague also in the program. So she sat beside me then, and so I said, "But this is not really agile, like this style of development then," and it wasn't really agile. So we're just talking. So sure. So, but she was curious, and then she was like, "Oh, okay, tell me about agile." So I just told her like a few things about it, and then eventually, early this year, there's a company-wide event. It's called SAP Decom, and well, it's just like a day spent by developers. So it's a day-long event, and there's a showcase of new technologies, maybe some other cooler things that people built with the in-house tools. Then there are talks on security, guidelines, and other things like that. Then towards the end of the day, there was someone else was invited, and that person spoke on agile development. So that my partner, she kept looking at me throughout the presentation that, Taiwo, you can actually give this talk because of what I had already told her before. So SAP, I said SAP, Kota and Kush, the culture already prepared me, like even to be like a bit one step ahead of in terms of what agile is. And then, but I'm not saying the entire company is not agile, because teams cultures and practices also differ from team to team. But that is just an example of one of the things that I learned at Kota and Kush, and that was also really useful here. And eventually, my team also picked up, and we had like more structure over time. And yeah, so that was one of it. Then another thing is that's let's see. Okay, learning and development, one of our core cultures at Kota and Kush then. So it also applies here, maybe on a bigger scale here though, but it applies. So that is also very similar. Then and other things are like soft skills, documentations, all of those things, but which I'm also applying in my current role and in my previous role as well. So yeah, short version is Kota and Kush prepared me for SAP. Yeah.
Okay. So next question. Are there things you miss about Nigeria that you didn't think you would?
Okay. Let me think. What do I miss? The people, obviously. The people. I'm not sure there's any other thing like this.
Food, of course.
The food, not so much.
Okay, moving on to the next question then. This question says, how far apart is our coding structure here with the one over there? So I think this is in terms of architecture, writing code, and like.
Okay. So okay. Like I said, it's a big company, and there are big smaller teams. There are many teams. There are many products. So, and also the styles differ from organization to organization, from product to product. So, but I would say in terms of architecture, at Kota and Kush, I totally believe that we are doing well based on what I knew. But here, I think architecture is done on a very big scale. There are people whose role essentially are architects, and what they do is basically architecture. And So this my current team. There's this new products we are talking about, and the most knowledgeable people on that product are the architects, and they are the people we go to ask questions. They are so architecture here is done on a big scale, and it's actually is a career path on its own that can be followed, because there's so much to learn in terms of architecture. And if one really wants to know about a lot of the technologies that are peculiar to the company, then going the architecture route is actually a good option. But architecture is done on a massive scale here.
Okay, so moving on. We know that you spoke about using the first 3 months to learn the language, that's German. But then, what was the communication like when you first, at least within these 3 months, where you were learning and you probably did not have so much experience with the German language? Did you have problems communicating with the people you met?
Okay. So before I left Nigeria, I was using Duolingo, and I had like an understanding of simple sentences and everything. And I got here, and my tongue was just frozen. I could not say my name. And it was bad. But you will easily also find people who speak English. But what I've noticed is some people who actually speak even good English, they will tell you their English is bad because they are not confident of their English, just as I was also not confident of my Dutch then. So it goes both ways. But for those first 3 months, it was a bit challenging, but also going to the Goethe Institute, it gave me something to look forward to, because I knew there that I would get better at it. And it was really good because I got the opportunity to practice a lot. I spoke all the time at the school, and the teachers too, they were always speaking German. You would ask questions in German, and yeah, that was interesting. And fast forward to November when I moved here, and my team, sometimes they did meetings in German, and I had built a certain level of confidence with the language before I left Bonn. So, but I found out that business communication in German is a totally different cup of tea than the normal day-to-day interaction of you want to buy bread or something. So it was totally different. And sometimes in meetings, I would just be like, if there is anything you want me to know, you are going to come to my level and speak English. But it's not important to me. And sometimes I'll just wave hello. But because as I continued to work in the team, I was having impact, and then I was also a member of the team. So I needed to know what was going on. And whenever we're in meetings and they start, just excuse me. So, and there's one woman then in my former team who will always say, Taiwo is here, let's speak in English, blah, blah, blah. So that was that was yeah. But my current team is more international. People from I have teammates from India, from England, from Brazil. So we have to speak English in my current team. That's awesome.
Wow, that's interesting. So, Kofo has one more question. She says that in the code base, most likely for your previous team, the SAP team, since they did more meetings in German, was there anything like German in the code base? Did you encounter? Yes,
No,
Monica.
no.
That was
There
on
was
the lighter
no,
note.
there was no German in the code base, but well, actually, some documentations were in German.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, there were some documentations in German, but most communication outside of the team normally should be in English, and they were in English because we had teams that were no German speaking. We had teams in Bangalore, we had teams in San Francisco and in Shanghai. So those ones, they cannot force Deutsch on them, and you know, it has to be in English. So bigger meetings were definitely in English, but teams, as teams got comfortable and they didn't really have a non-German speaking person for a long time. So I also understand that it took them some time to actually adjust to the fact that there was a new kid on the block, and then the culture has to change, but eventually we got there.
Wow. Okay. So someone says, I'll read word for word. I am interested in the fellowship program. Is it done annually?
Yep, it's done annually. So I hope talks will not beat me for this. There's a website. There's a website. Um, that person should reach out to me for the website. So, well, if you Google Africa Cons, actually, you will see the website. So it's run every year, and even despite the pandemic, the new cohorts, so my set was AK8, then the new cohort, AK9, they already had their assessment center. And because of the pandemic, it was supposed to hold around April when ours held, but it was shifted to September, and it held virtually. And even right now, decisions have been made, and they will be coming to Germany in February, I think. So also next year, if you're interested, watch out. There will be another round of applications, and so it happens every year.
Okay, thanks for that. So here's the last question we have. Do you intend to relocate to Nigeria anytime soon?
You say?
I think we'll take that as no.
maybe to another country, but not to Nigeria for now.
That's nice. That's nice. Okay, so for other people on the call, sorry, for other people on I'm sorry about that. For other people on the call, if you have questions, I'll try and add you to the stream now so that you can unmute yourself and just ask the question. Any other questions? Any questions? BJ. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any other questions. So thank you so much, Taiwo, for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in case you guys don't know, this has been in the works since I think earlier in the year, and because of the pandemic, it was around that time it hit Nigeria and people had to stay home. So because of that, we kind of pushed it forward, and we almost wouldn't have had this discussion today here if not for Engineer Babs here. Yeah, so we really appreciate your presence. Thank you very much. And it was nice seeing your face.
Yeah, I feel so happy. My Friday is made.
Thank you so much, Taiwo.
Thank
And
you.
we hope that we can always call on you some other time and you will gladly, yes,
Absolutely, absolutely. And pray for me, I want to visit Nigeria, so pray that.
You want to visit, but you're not relocating. Got
No,
that.
You said.
visit.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. This was cool.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.